About 1,600 more migrant worker dorms will be regulated from next year in a move to improve living standards within such facilities. E-commerce sales in Singapore are expected to hit $19.6 billion by 2027 as digital consumer population continues to grow. Britain's next Prime Minister Liz Truss is expected to meet the Queen, where she'll ask Ms. Truss to form a government. It's Tuesday, September the 6th. You're watching The Big Story with me, Haryanto Diman. Subscribe to the Straits Times channel so you will not miss an episode. In a move to contain disease outbreaks more quickly in migrant worker dormitories and potentially improve living standards, about 1,600 dorms will be regulated under the Foreign Employee Dormitories Act, or Feda, from April 1st next year. Now, these dorms can house about 440,000 migrant workers. Feda will be extended to cover smaller dorms with 7 beds or more, on top of the 53 larger dorms that are currently regulated under the law. These larger dorms have 256,000 beds in all. With the expansion of Feda, dorms will fall under 4 license classes depending on size. Senior Minister of State for Manpower Koh Poh Koon says the move is a significant step in improving the living environments of migrant workers.
Now, with 4 license classes that are tiered according to size, we'll be able to calibrate the requirements under Feda by the different dormitory sizes across our very diverse dormitory landscape. This also ensures that the requirements can be met by the dormitories of different sizes, especially the smaller ones, which may have lesser resources. So we will work closely with our stakeholders on the progressive implementation of Feda over the next 2 years to minimize any disruption to dormitory operations and also to any interference of the migrant workers that are staying there. The expansion of Feda is therefore a significant step forward within our multi-year campaign and a roadmap to transform our migrant workers' living environment.
From next April, dorms of different sizes will have to meet requirements according to license class. Class 1 dorms with 7 to 99 beds will have to report incidents that affect the safety and health of their residents and provide a list of their residents to the Ministry of Manpower, or MOM, for contact tracing. Class 2 dorms with 100 to 299 beds are required to submit regular reports on their management practices to MOM. Now, they also need to have fire drills and a contingency plan for public health outbreaks. Class 3 dorms with 300 to 999 beds will have to deploy traffic marshals when directed by authorities. Class 4 dorms with 1,000 beds or more can continue to operate as usual as they are already licensed under Feda. The Economic Development Board is reviewing the need for the TECH.PASS, which is a specialized work pass for the top talents in the technology sector. It could be merged into the new Overseas Networks and Expertise Pass, or ONE-PASS. The new ONE-PASS, which was unveiled last month, offers similar flexibility to top foreign professionals as the TECH.PASS, but is open to all sectors. Now, buying army gear has become even easier for NSmen and NSFs now. Servicemen from the Singapore Armed Forces can purchase the items from LAZADA with the debut of SAF's e-mart on the platform. However, do note that e-mart credits, which are issued to every serviceman, cannot be used on LAZADA. Continued optimism for Southeast Asia's long-term growth outlook. E-commerce sales in Singapore are forecast to hit $19.6 billion by 2027, despite slower growth amid inflationary pressures and supply chain disruptions. Now, this is according to a report released today by Facebook parent Meta and Bain & Company. This increase in e-commerce sales is in line with the steady growth of the digital consumer population in the region, which is expected to account for about 402 million people, or 88% of the total population by 2027. The study, based on a survey of about 16,000 digital consumers across 6 countries, including Singapore, also looked at digital consumer habits. It found about 3/4 of Singapore consumers use online channels like social media for discovering and evaluating products. And they were found to be using more online platforms, 10 in 2022 compared with 6 in 2021. Joining me now to share more about the findings of the study is Damian Kim, Singapore Managing Director, Meta. Damian, welcome to the show. What are the top 3 findings that stood out for you from this study?
Well, Haryanto, thanks for having me on. As a bit of background, this is a study that we do annually. We do it in partnership with Bain & Company, and we've been doing it for the last 5 years. And we just go and we survey tens of thousands of consumers from across the region, including here in Singapore, really just to understand the key consumer trends and the insights from them. This year, the 3 things that were really interesting was one, this sort of integration of the online and offline shopping experience. So now that things are opening back up, consumers are still shopping online, but they're also going back into stores, and kind of their expectation is that they have a sort of seamless experience across both of those formats. The second one is around business messaging. And business messaging is quite prevalent here in Southeast Asia. In Singapore, there's a lot of people using WhatsApp and Messenger. And now consumers are expecting to be able to engage with businesses on these same messaging platforms. And then the third one is really just video. Video continues to explode. The amount of time being spent watching video, the consumer or the creators who are making these videos, and really that the reality that businesses need to understand that and use video to reach consumers so that they can connect them with their products and services.
Damian, I just want to pick on the point where you talk about the integrated shopping experience, both online and offline, that trend that the study has found. Now that offline shopping channels have seen some recovery with the easing of COVID-19 measures, people are still turning to online channels. Why do you think we're seeing the trend of people moving towards a shopping experience that combines both instead of one over the other?
Yeah, and to your point, the online shopping trend and that behavior is certainly not going away. Since the beginning of the pandemic, there have been over 90 million digital consumers that have come online across Southeast Asia, right? That's the equivalent of the United Kingdom and Australia. There's now 370 million digital consumers in the region. Here in Singapore, 97% of Singapore digital users are actually digital consumers already. And so that behavior is certainly very sticky, and that continues. As things have opened up, the reality is that people are also going back offline. So the malls are open here, the shops are open. So people are kind of maybe looking at things online, but then going into stores to touch these things, to feel these things, to learn more about them. A personal example from my side, my wife and I are renovating our home. We're looking for appliances. We were looking for a refrigerator back in July. And so we started researching. We were looking at things online. We found a local appliance store, but we actually that appliance store had a WhatsApp button on their website. We used that to make an appointment. We went into the store. We met a salesman to learn more. And then we went back online to take advantage of their 7/7 sale. And so that's the type of behavior that we're seeing, where people are kind of combining both the online and offline shopping experience. And that's something that we're working with many businesses and the partners here to help figure out how we optimize around that and how we cater to that.
Your study also found that video has grown exponentially over the years as a platform for consumers to discover and get to know more about brands and products, which then influence their decision when purchasing the items. How do you see business leveraging video as a channel for their consumers?
Yeah, so just video is pervasive. If you think about maybe the last time you were at the grocery store, or you were on maybe the MRT, or in line to get a coffee, if you look around here, you'll see everyone is on their mobile devices and they are consuming video content. That could be a news show like what we're talking on right now. It could be their favorite TV show or a movie, and increasingly it's a lot of video content that comes from influencers and creators that people are following. And so that's a really, really large and important set of content. And that's where people are spending their time. And so what that means and what we are seeing is really that's where businesses also need to meet their customers, or find their new customers. And so this combination of increasing video consumption with this sort of large creator and influencer community combined with digital commerce, it's really driving that as the primary discovery and sort of decision-making channel for many consumers. Here in Singapore, 1 out of 4 Singapore consumers indicated that video was really where they both discovered and really learned and made decisions around what they were going to buy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the show and sharing your insights, Damian. That is Damian Kim, Singapore Managing Director, Meta. Singapore's Deputy Prime Minister Lawrence Wong reaffirmed the warm and long-standing ties between Singapore and Malaysia on Tuesday during his audience with King Sultan Abdullah Ahmad Shah. Mr. Wong's audience with the King is part of his 4-day visit to Malaysia, his first since becoming Deputy Prime Minister in June. Both the King and Mr. Wong also touched on issues of mutual interest during the meeting, including Sultan Abdullah's upcoming visit to Singapore from September 19th. Overseas, in the strongest earthquake to hit China's Sichuan province since 2017, rescuers are trying to evacuate some 1,000 villages isolated by a landslide in Luting County. The death toll has risen to at least 65 people. Luting County, a remote area in the southwest of Sichuan, is the epicenter of the 6.8 magnitude quake that struck on Monday. Meanwhile, rescuers are also working to restore utilities and send emergency relief. Nearly 250 people were treated for injuries from the disaster, with dozens critically wounded. Britain's next Prime Minister Liz Truss will be meeting with the Queen at about 7 p.m. Singapore time after Boris Johnson tenders his resignation and formally leaves office. At the meeting, which should last about 30 minutes, the Queen will ask Ms. Truss, as the leader of the largest party in Parliament, to form a government. This after Liz Truss won the Conservative Party's leadership race against rival Rishi Sunak on Monday after a 2-month campaign. Ms. Truss, who will be Britain's 4th Prime Minister in 6 years, succeeds Mr. Johnson, who was forced to quit after losing the support of dozens of his ministers. In his departure speech earlier today, he expressed support for Ms. Truss, saying that she will be able to guide Britain out of the current energy crisis.
And I know that Liz Truss and this compassionate Conservative government will do everything we can to get people through this crisis, and this country will endure it, and we will win. And I will be offering this government nothing but the most fervent support. I'll tell you why, this is a tough time for the economy. This is a tough time for families up and down the country. We can and we will get through it, and we will come out stronger the other side. But I say to my fellow Conservatives, it's time for politics to be over, folks. It's time for us all to get behind Liz Truss and her team and her programme and deliver for the people of this country. Because that is what the people of this country want, that's what they need, and that's what they deserve.
Ms. Truss is expected to make her first address as PM later outside 10 Downing Street. Those are top stories. Visit straitstimes.com for more news and our YouTube channel for more videos. Subscribe by clicking the red button below. I'm Haryanto Diman. See you tomorrow for more stories on The Big Story.